where I'll show you how I put together this snow globe cake topper. This can be used as a cake topper or as as a Christmas decoration ornament. So I've used a blue and white background, acetate paper, light blue paper, green textured cardstock, gold cardstock, red cardstock, and glitter black cardstock for this. However, you can use whatever color you want to. So here's how I put it all together. I've used my Cricut machine to cut it all out. You can get the template for this on Cricut Design Space if you subscribe to it. So I've cut it all out in with various settings. My default for cardstock is to use the glitter cardstock setting with my fine point blade. And of course, for my acetate paper, I changed that setting to acetate. So once all my cardstock is cut out, here comes the fun part, the putting it together part. So what I've used to do that is my Burley Arts glue. I've used the double-sided foam tape. So you can see that foam tape is quite thick. So what I've done is I've cut it into three strips to make it a bit thinner. And you can see how you will be able to see how I've used it in this video. I've also used some different sizes foam squares, so the little tiny ones and the bigger ones. So what I do is I started putting it together gradually. So first of all, I started with the text, the Merry Christmas. I built it up. I used my Burley Art glue for the first layer to glue the black onto the gold. And then to give it a little bit more volume, I've used my tiny little foamies um, at the back to glue or to stick the gold onto the red. Once I've done that, I've also used the same method to glue the red onto the blue so that once your Merry Christmas is built up, it's nice and thick, it has volume, it makes it look quite 3D. The most difficult part of this is trying to peel the backing of the little foamies, especially if you have no nails. I know some people use tweezers, so just find a way that is comfortable for you to do so. You generate quite a bit of waste after that, but that's fine, it's all part of the process. So that's your Merry Christmas done. Put it to one side and you can start building your snow globe. So the first thing that I do is that I stick the background, which is a kind of like a snowflakey white and blue um, print and cut paper that I've made. I stick it to the base, which is a light blue thing. You can see I'm struggling with my glue. If you leave your glue open for a while, it kind of gets clogged up. So I always have this problem and I had to unstick it, but got there in the end. So stick that together. So that's the base of your design. And then once that's done, I start building the top layers. So the next layer is my reindeer. And in order to give it some volume, I've decided not to just stick it with the glue, but to use the double-sided foam tape that I cut into strips to use it to stick it together. So you can see that I've cut it into strips that is thin enough that doesn't show through the cardstock that I've cut. And then it goes round. I just make sure that I put it in the middle and it goes round in a circle. And I stick it onto the base layer. Just be careful with to make sure it all sits in nicely. And then I do the same with the green layer, which is the Christmas trees layers. And exactly the same thing go around with the strips that I've already cut. If you wanted to give it more volume, you can actually double or triple the layers if you want it to be nice and thick. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I've only used one layer of double-sided foam strips. So you can see that I've added it on. So you've got your nice reindeer layer and your Christmas tree. So and it's giving it quite a bit of volume. So the next layer is just the blue and the gold cover layer, you could call it. So I've decided to stick the gold to the blue first with my cardstock glue. And the reason I haven't used the foamy for that is because the strip is just too thin for you to get it thin enough, and it would just look a bit messy. And you can see I'm struggling with my glue again. Managed to get it out this time. So I'll stick the gold to the light blue. Obviously you can use whatever color you want depending on the decoration that you're trying to achieve. Okay, so once that's done, I stick my acetate onto that layer as well. So it all comes kind of like a three-in-one package: the acetate, the base, and the cover layer. So that's like one package, and then you stick it to the base layer. So I once again will use the foamy to stick it on. Um, I've decided to use once again just one layer because I don't want to make it too thick. But have a by all means experiment, play around, and see which one works for you. You can also buy these foamy strips that are thin enough on Amazon. I didn't have any at the time of this tutorial, so I decided to just cut mine. If you're in the UK, I got this from the Works. They're only like £2, so and it kind of works for me. So I decided to do that. So I am double layering this just to give it that volume because the snowballs, which are like polystyrene balls that I've got, they're quite thick. So I really wanted them to be able to sit comfortably into my design so that when you shake it around it will move around and it would look really nice. I've I'm covering the whole with tape just so when I put my fake snow and my tiny polystyrene balls in, they don't fall out at the end, okay? And the purpose of the hole is for us to put our light. If you don't want the light, you can just use the contour feature on Design Space to close the hole, and that's it. Okay, so once that's all done, I will stick the top layer to the base layer, and that's it. That's literally the structure of your snow globe shaker. I've just cut out a base as well in red cardstock just so to have a base for my snow globe, because then it really looks like a snow globe. And once again, I'm just using my big foamies to stick that on. Pretty easy to do. Um, and then the next bit is just to put the Merry Christmas on, and once again I'm using the foamies, and that's just to give it a bit of base, a bit of volume, and make it more 3D. And you can use slightly bigger ones than the tiny ones we used earlier, and I'm just using my leftover strips to do that, put it together, and that's it. So the next step is to just put your light on. So I've got this light off of Amazon. I'm going to use my hot glue gun, put it round the hole, stick my light in, and then just use the hot glue stick to just fill in any gaps to make sure there's no gaps there. Okay, and then if you're using this as a cake topper, once again, hot glue gun, acrylic stick to stick it down. Topper, which can be used as a shaker. And in fact, if you